Are we going to try and upload this tomorrow then, which will of course be on Remembrance Day? Otherwise we could upload it on Remembrance Sunday, which would of course be much further away, but it would be an equally valid day to upload it.
No, that's already happened.
Oh, wait, is Remembrance Sunday already happened?
You fucking Britain-hating scumbag, how did you not know that?
That's actually really funny. Like, I feel like I'm glad we're recording right now. So I genuinely thought that the Remembrance Sunday was always the Sunday after the 11th of the 11th, but since I was apparently wrong, and like you say, must hate Britain and every single one of the fallen, we have to talk about it today. So what did you want to talk about, Luke?
Yeah, well, you're right, Michael, you definitely do hate the fallen, absolutely.
I like heroes who didn't fall.
Yeah, I'm glad we're doing this video now, actually, because now you can finally appreciate what our boys have done out there in World War I and World War II, and finally, showing you all these examples of true British respect and patriotism, and it'll get into your head, hopefully. I don't know about you, Michael, but I do often think, apparently now a month before November the 11th, when people start wearing poppies, things can get a bit crazy. The reason why I want to do this video today is just to one, of course, educate you, because you definitely need educating. That is,
yes,
that's
I think we've
proven.
established that, yes.
Yeah, well, one, show people who perhaps don't live in the UK who are watching this video what goes on in our country. So if you don't know, by the way, if you don't live in this country, you'll want to know the background on the poppy, I imagine. It was worn because of World War I. Soldiers died, some of them, of course, died on the fields in Flanders, in northern France, when they were fighting in the trenches. And poppies sprang up from the graves of the soldiers, because there was mass graves, because a lot of people died, of course, in that war. And so, therefore, the poppy was adopted as a national symbol of remembrance, first in 1920, I believe. So, yes, 100-year anniversary of that this year. But originally, of course, it was to raise money for the wounded and disabled veterans of World War I. And then World War II, obviously, for the Royal British Legion, who ran everything. And then something happened in, I guess, the 90s and the 2000s, when, of course, because, it was quite a while since World War I happened, a lot of these veterans started dying off. There was a shift, and the poppy now has become a celebration symbol. Not all the time, but it has become that. And we're going to use some examples of that being the case in this video.
The poppy has become almost a way of celebrating Britain's military prowess, as opposed to, for example, the tragedy of war. And that nowadays, people who are, let's say, more pro-war and pro-Britain's military, but in a way where they want Britain's military to be powerful, are likely to be the ones wearing the poppy.
You've jumped to my conclusion there, Michael,
I'm sorry.
damn it.
It's just that you're so predictable.
No, I am. No, and I'm not going to use, a straw man of like the far right using them, which I shall send to you now, Michael. So
I'm seeing the image right now. So, Homes for Heroes, not illegal immigrants, borderless Britain.
Yeah, I've already talked about it.
I'm very confused though about the fact it says borderless Britain at the bottom, as if because obviously I guess borderless Britain's supposed to be a bad thing, but the way it looks is as if they're kind of making a demand. Like, Homes for Heroes, not illegal immigrants, borderless Britain, now. Stupid. I mean, I hate to say it, Luke, but I don't think these alt-right people are very smart.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I'm not going to use examples of that, which, you've seen on the screen.
Well, then you shouldn't have sent it, Luke.
That's just, it's a straw manning. I'm going to use other examples. So first off, we're going to use... So basically, we're going to go through these images, and you're going to tell me, Michael, how much respect is in each one of them, okay? So here's the first image I'm going to send to you.
Paedophile hunters order sobbing man to observe 11 a.m. 2-minute Remembrance Day silence and have a bit of respect as they make a citizen's arrest after he bought Happy Meal for 11-year-old girl.
That's our country, baby.
Wow.
That's our country.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's not necessarily poppy focused. I mean, obviously, I'm sure these gentlemen were wearing poppies, but it's obviously more silence focused, which is fine, of course.
Now that's just a bit of a taster. That's just to show what's to come. That paedophile hunters were arresting a paedophile, but they were so concerned about a minute of silence. It's not the worst thing here. Again, I mean, I don't really. I don't think the most important thing was to observe the 2-minute silence when you're arresting a paedophile. So we're going to get into the images now, and the first one is an absolute classic, which you may have seen before. It's Chris Tarrant and the Cookie Monster, both wearing poppies. And what do you think the respect levels are in this photo, Michael? Well, how respectful?
It's got to be quite low, because I think obviously the Cookie Monster, you can see it in his eyes. He's not thinking about the poppy. He's thinking about where he's going to get his next sugary biscuity treat. with chocolate
But
chips.
isn't there some respect with the fact that even the Cookie Monster, who's only concerned about cookies, still is wearing the poppy?
I think
Surely that's something
I
to
think
that.
to be honest, he was probably sedated with some cookies, and then the television staff put it on him. Frankly, although I do think it's weird because the Cookie Monster is American, of course. So I think if anything, it feels kind of inauthentic to me. So I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 10 for 3 respects.
Oh, we're
out of 10.
ranking them as out of 10s?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay. No, we're taking a leaf out of Poppy Watch then. We're ranking it out of 10.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that, but yes.
Yeah, that's what they do. Now we're going to have a look at a couple of MPs or politicians showing their respect. So the first one, as you can see on screen, is Anthony Brown.
Oh, good name.
Yeah, so he, of course, with that poppy, is showing how, everyone else is showing minimal respect, but he's got a nice big poppy there that shows he really respects the troops.
What I like about it, okay, is he's also doubled up for Halloween, because as you can see, he's got a spider on there in the middle. It's got 8 legs. It's a big black tarantula with 8 legs. So all he did is he was wearing that. He took a Halloween decoration, put some red knitted socks around it, and said, "Yep, that's my poppy." It beat that 6 out of 10, but it's for the kind of combination of the ingenuity of using the Halloween decorations, and then of course the fact that he was a bit lazy. This one, on the other hand,
What do you think? Do you think it's a bit too big?
Whoa, this guy likes Poppy more than middle-class parents naming their daughter.
That's great. That's really funny.
Yeah, that's my line right there. It's ridiculous. I mean, it has to be I guess I'll give it a 7 out of 10, but a very big 7.
On to the next image now. You may have seen a viral video at the weekend of a Strictly Come Dancing dance where 2 people dressed as the Simpsons danced around on Strictly Come Dancing.
Yes.
Marge and Homer Simpson. And as you can see, that as an image of this, but they are crucially, as you can see, wearing poppies. So, there you go.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Well, the funny thing about that one is it's so small. It's kind of like they almost had an idea of maybe it's a bit silly for these people to be wearing a poppy, but they're like, no, they've got to be wearing a little bit of a poppy. I mean, I assume maybe that a lot of the dancers on the show probably wear a poppy similar to that, and they were just like, well, we're going to keep it on. No matter
we have
what.
to.
But
we don't want Marge and Homer Simpson to be accused of disrespecting the soldiers. So we gotta whack him on there. Well, this is the next image: a poppy postbox warmer. And
Postbox warmer. Is this like a thing that exists? Because
I hadn't heard of it either.
Because the idea of warming up a postbox, I tell you what I'm more offended by here is the fact they've already got a Christmas display up, which means either this is poppies still out in the beginning of December, or somebody celebrating Christmas in November. And both of those are equally offensive to me. So I'm, going to, again, feel quite negative towards that. I am going to stop rating them because the numbers, some might say, are a bit arbitrary. But definitely I am against it.
There's another one, by the way, as you can see. It's got a nice poppy on the grave at the top of the postbox.
I like how it's just like the grave itself is also made up of poppies. So it's kind of just like they're already taking over. At this point, it's kind of we've moved past commemorating the fallen soldiers. At this point, we're commemorating the fallen poppies. So in the future, we're going to have like memorials, like 1,000 poppies fell here on this day when Memorial Day ended.
Next up, well, we have to do this one. I think this is a pretty famous image. It's of a pub, and not just any pub, a really patriotic pub. As you can see from the image, they even have a tank.
Yeah, those people love poppies more than heroin addicts. Remember my, of course, spider theory from the other guy. I was thinking, they've got all these spider webs up. But yeah, it's camo. And yes, I agree with you. This is probably much more in the realm of, definitely celebrating war. It kind of just feels like at that point, it's less of a statement because it's kind of like having just one poppy. I think less is more, as they say. Yeah, I'm not too impressed with that.
Okay, well, we've got...
I like how the flag in the corner says, or in the top says, never forget. as if there's any chance of that. Just like, in case you haven't seen all the other poppies, just remember, never forget.
Yeah, great. It's they want to convey a really strong message. So the next image, as you can see on screen, is from a cooling tower at Drax Power Station in North Yorkshire. And what can you say about that, Mike?
I can say it's pretty cool
I mean, that dwarfs all others. I don't know whose idea it was to put a massive poppy on a tower in North Yorkshire, but fair play. I think this is a completely correct decision.
No, yeah, I mean, I kind of like that one because obviously, at least it's something to look at when you're, I guess, driving along. What I'm actually a bit confused by is that it seems as if there's a much larger cooling tower off to the side, and I just imagine, like, I think it's a perspective thing, but I'm just imagining that there's like a giant cooling tower.
They don't want to show too much respect.
And on top of that is stood the Welsh MP with an even bigger.
Well, okay. Sticking with the theme of energy and power, a patriotic wind turbine in Leicestershire is up next. As you can see, this is actually quite aesthetically pleasing, if you will. Yeah, well, prop to them for that.
But I do think, I mean, it's pretty clever of them. I guess it's nice. It's modern art, though, and I feel like a lot of people who are into poppies would probably hate modern art. So
okay. Next up, of course, because as we said before, there have been accusations that Remembrance Day is quickly becoming Let's Celebrate War Day. But how could you accuse Remembrance Day of morphing into that when we have poppy cakes? As everyone knows that nobody celebrates with cakes. They are the least celebratory food out there. So there's the first one, Michael. What do you think of that?
Sweet.
I'm
not really into those kind of cakes anyway because, you know, I'm watching my carbs and all, but definitely it does. I do imagine having fun with that. It seems a bit, what are you celebrating, huh? Who blows out the candles on that? No one. Well, you know what I say about all those soldiers out there suffering in the trenches in the past? Let them eat cake.
Yeah. That's good. That's very good. And which cake, Michael? Which cake? That's the question, because here's the other cake. Now, as you can see, this one has probably a little bit more effort in terms of the poppies. As you can see, they slowly come up the cake to the soldier.
Yeah, that one looks like a wedding cake, though, which is even more inappropriate. At least with the other one, I'm kind of like, it's a bit kind of minimalist. Oh, well, that's generous to call it minimalist. But this one, I'm just like imagining someone's having a wedding, and they're just like, yeah, but let's not forget the fallen in this wedding. Let's not forget all the men who could never get married because they died in Flanders Field.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm not sure minimalist is a theme here, yes. To be honest with you. But we'll move on to probably, actually, you know what, the least minimalist thing ever. I have to say, these images of somebody's house, which you can see on screen now, are probably what inspired me to do this, because I saw these images and I was like, wow, this has to be something that we talk about, because as you can tell, look, that this person is really patriotic, so patriotic that they would even have a dead German soldier in the corner of their house, right by their back door, just to show how patriotic they are.
They've got razor wire outside their house, haven't they? I'm trying to work out if that's, like, for a minute I thought it was Christmas lights, but when you look at it wrapped around that fence, they literally put out razor wire. Yeah, I mean, and again, we got that lest we forget thing. It's kind of like, again, it feels a bit weird when there's no way anyone could possibly be forgetting that.
No, I mean, yeah, I think if you look at that house, you see that German soldier skeleton there, you're like, how could I forget? How could I possibly forget? Now, very, very respectful, of course. And this is another house, by the way, a different one. They've actually gone for a more authentic war look, because they've actually, as you can see at the front, got sandbags, which is very nice. And yeah, clearly a lot of effort has been put in here. What do you think?
They go straight from Halloween decorations to remembrance decorations. I want to know if they have Guy Fawkes decorations. Like, do they have to be like, okay, guys, it's, Halloween's over, time to put up the Reformation Day celebration. Get your little mannequin of Martin Luther. Okay, now that's done. Time to get the effigy of Guy Fawkes. Okay, now that's done. Time to get out the. They just have a very busy time. But yeah, and obviously it was also weird because it feels like they're LARPing. They're out there pretending it's World War One.
Are they pretending? Yeah. People like that would never do such a thing.
It just feels
pretend they fought a war, which they never did.
Yeah, it just feels so strange because it's like, I don't know. I hate to say it, but to me, I feel like it lacks a certain degree of decorum. And what did we hear, Luke? What was that saying? The Dulce et decorum est pro patria mori. It is sweet and beautiful to die for your country.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, talking of decorum, how about a Doncaster Rovers football kit with a bunch of poppies on it? To me, yeah, what I like about this is there is no sponsor, and I think the maker of the kit is Carbini, because I think that's their logo in the top left-hand corner of the kit, and they haven't put their logo on it. So that's top quality respect there. And I like, by the way, how the kit changes colour as well. And so you got like the
red at the top and the black at the bottom.
Yeah, to symbolise the blood, and then the black, the dirt,
the black hearts of the vile Hun.
Yeah, exactly. The black hearts of the vile Hun. But that's just one. That's an actual football kit, I believe. But how about a football concept kit? And this is a concept kit from Newcastle United fans, and as you can see, it reads, "At the going down of the sun, 32 red, and in the morning we shall remember them." Now, of course, 32 red is actually a betting company. They haven't got the makers of the kit. They've replaced that with the poppy. But yeah, I don't know if it's the most respectful thing to put like a betting company in the middle of your message about the fallen. What do you think?
The going down, yes, it is a bit strange, because it's just like, I mean, no, strange isn't the right word. Yeah, it's just inappropriate, really, isn't it? Like,
oh, wow.
Especially, I hate to say it, but especially since it's not even a wholesome thing. It's at least if it was, the lottery, which is still a gamble for stupid people, but at least the lottery gives some money to public services.
Okay, we'll move on now, and we shall go on to a road crossing in Richmond, I do believe. Now, here's what's interesting about this image. It's a poppy road crossing, as you can see, but as you can tell, people are cycling and driving over the poppies, which I would suggest would not be respectful at all. Indeed, that would be the exact opposite of respectful. What do you think?
Well, when I walk in like a meadow or something, I make sure that if there's any poppies there, I very carefully avoid them. So I just kind of step around them. So basically, I'm fully committed to it. And these guys disgust me, frankly. What they should be doing, like what they don't realize, is these poppies were put there as an obstacle course to test how respectful you are. You've got to try and drive around them.
Yeah,
and all the cars should be driving on the pavements, because the pedestrians they might hit are far less precious than these poppies.
And this is another image, as you can see, a bus going over the poppies. I mean, but you say maybe the cars could get around it, definitely the cyclists, but how does a bus get around it? I think they set the people up to fail there.
And the most horrendous thing is that bus would be speaking German if it weren't for those soldiers.
Exactly, yeah, the bus definitely would. Okay, so Michael, so now we're going to move on to some hatwear. Now, I saw this image and I couldn't really believe it. I've sent it to you now. As you can see, there's a bunch of poppies in a box with, I believe that's the Tower of London on top.
Yeah.
And as the caption, of course, is, "This beautiful hat, created for the Cold Water Swimming Championships, is a wonderful and thoughtful reminder this Remembrance Day." That... So it's certainly, thoughtful maybe is not the word I'd use, but you definitely can't miss the poppies there. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like the model is genuinely really impressive, so I am
they put a lot of work into it.
Yeah, like if anything, I'm kind of just focusing on how great the model is. Basically what it says is someone who's a really good modeler who was like, how can I show off my Tower of London thing? Oh, well, London's in England. Poppies are celebrating English soldiers. Problem solved. Yeah. And what could be a better place to celebrate it than the Cold Water Swimming Championships?
That's probably my favourite image, but this is the last one, which is...
saving the not favourite till last.
Well, it kind of sums up the whole thing in my opinion. This is the ice cream poppy flavour thing. As you can see, a big We Remember sign. Putting poppies in ice cream. I mean, who had that idea, man? Who had that idea? And why is it only in two of the ice cream
I'd like to point out that the brown one doesn't have any poppies, because you know what they're like.
Yeah, I know. Again, it's like, what is more celebratory than ice cream?
That's true.
Yeah. So, anything to say on that?
Well, actually, you say that, but you've got to bear in mind that a lot of people do eat ice cream after they've had a breakup. They eat large amounts of ice cream. So there are plenty of people who will eat ice cream while crying. And I will personally be crying while eating a tub of Ben & Jerry's and thinking about the fallen this Remembrance Day.
Yeah, no, for sure. But here's the thing, obviously. That's the last of the images, and I don't know how many there were. I think there are about 24 in total. But I hope we showed you, everyone who's watching, that Remembrance Day, it's got a bit crazy, a bit celebratory, as we have said. It's celebrating the soldiers for fighting in the wars, and war itself, I think, in quite a lot of cases. And that shouldn't be the case. I think in World War II, of course, you could argue, yes, you should celebrate those soldiers because they fought back against the Nazis and fascism, but let's just take a minute to consider World War One. It's the completely wrong outlook, and of course that was what the poppy is originally for, the soldiers who died in World War One.
And more British people died in World War One.
Yeah, yes. It's possibly the worst war in human history.
What's the best war?
World War Two. World War Two is the best war because you defeat the ultimate bad guys. But that's the thing about World War One. We should not celebrate soldiers for serving in that war. That's the wrong way to look at it. And I'm not hating on the soldiers for volunteering, of course. No, because they didn't know anything about it. Of course, there was a thing at the time that they thought it'd be all over by Christmas. And that didn't turn out to be the case. Now we should look at what happened to those soldiers in World War One as a scandal. One of the biggest disgraces in British history. All those people that died in Flanders or at the Somme just getting mowed down in horrific ways by machine guns, and then when they're not being mowed down, living in squalid conditions in the trenches. And we let all those people die. We gave them PTSD, and what for? What for, Michael? Not to defeat fascism like in World War II. Also, so some Austrian duke, I think that was it. Wouldn't look stupid after being killed. He would have his honour restored. And just one of the most disgraceful things in British history, for sure. And there is now, unfortunately, those veterans who served in those wars have passed away. We now have people looking back on it as, we should celebrate them for what they did. And that's completely the wrong message.
All I'm thinking is that I missed a massive opportunity when the Strictly Come Dancing image was up, where I should have said, it's very hypocritical of Homer to be wearing that poppy, because he notoriously hates Flanders.
But I just want to send you one more image that I have not actually sent to you, because I don't find it amusing or funny. I find it quite dark, actually. Yeah. As you can see, the 4 children are holding large poppies, and all of them have shirts on. One of them says Future Soldier, and another one says My Mum and Dad are Veterans. And do you know what the other 2 shirts say?
Well, I'm theorising that the other one might say, because I don't think the other 2 say Future Soldier, because they seem to have T's on the end. I think one of them might say Future Pilot, because I can imagine, people always love joining the RAF, and the other one might say something else. My guess is that it would be a military thing. I mean, maybe one of them is just maybe that one girl, you can't quite see it apart from the T, maybe it's a future pacifist, and she's kind of hiding it because she doesn't want anyone to see. That's
the thing, we've had a lot of fun in this video. We've had a lot of fun. We've made some jokes, but that image is, again, so concerning to me. The Future Soldier thing, I don't know what the other 2 T-shirts say, but let's just focus on the soldier one.
Yeah. Maybe she means Soldier for Christ.
Yeah, well, it goes on from celebrating the soldiers for fighting in the war. This definitely goes on to celebrate war itself as something great to fight in. The best thing you can do is fight for Britain. Be at war. It now morphs into a celebration of the fact that Britain has been at war. And, look at all these people that fought in the wars. They were great because they fought in the wars, and therefore wars are great. I think if you look at the discourse around Brexit, and there was talk of, maybe we wouldn't receive food, because of a hard Brexit or a no-deal Brexit, people would have struggle getting medicine, it might be like rationing after World War II. There was a lot of British people who were like, yeah, that's good. It'll be good for this country. We can band together, and it can be just like, rationing when this country was great again. That is this mindset we have adopted. And it comes from, obviously, the Blitz spirit and the myths we tell ourselves about our country. And I do remember there was, when Margaret Thatcher died, there was talk about, the Falklands. And I remember, I have to paraphrase here because I couldn't find the quote, but she said something about when the UK won the Falklands back, it proves that the British people are at their greatest when they're fighting in wars. That's when we that's when we do our best, when we're at wars, when we're soldiers. And we should want to be soldiers, basically. And even when COVID hit this year, Prince William said that the British people are at their best when they're in a crisis. That's what he said. We are at our best, basically, when our backs are against the wall, when we're fighting. And that really is a horrible attitude to have, in my opinion. And it's a very...
Everyone knows we're at our best. Everyone knows we're at our best when we're experiencing fully automated luxury gay space communism. Idiots.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing. It's like we can never be truly happy, truly being the best Britain we can be. We can never be a great Britain again, if you'll pardon the pun, unless we're fighting wars. And that, is just very unfortunate because it completely misses the devastation that war causes. Nobody should want to be a future soldier. Nobody should want to, I guess, experience what the soldiers did in World War One or even World War Two or any war. We should, it's not something we should aim for. But sadly for this country, it is something that we do aim for. I think it's kind of worse than America in that respect because America had their Vietnam. Like we haven't had our Vietnam, even Iraq or Afghanistan, never been as badly received as Vietnam was in America. So that's my opinion.
We're too good at fighting wars, so they're never unpopular, basically.
That's the issue. Yeah,
I think you made a good point about how we don't celebrate other generations, and the logical conclusion is if World War One hadn't happened, those men who were killed would not be celebrated. And it's almost like by retrospectively being like, oh yeah, we're going to celebrate these men who died. You're kind of saying, yeah, these men achieved something by dying, and that's why they need to be celebrated. I actually think, I was watching a video recently about, this might sound a bit of a tangent, but I think it's very valid. I was watching a video recently about a guy talking about the Black Death, and he started tearing up a bit because he was, really reflecting on the horrors of it. And I was thinking, nowadays we do kind of ignore a lot of tragedies, and obviously the Black Death was a long time ago. But I do think it's valuable to have that attitude of recognizing all the tragedies we've experienced and that they are tragedies. And I think the problem is that World War One could be an opportunity to understand the war as a tragedy. And of course we don't understand that. And I think honestly,
that was the case up until 20 years ago, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think I would hope in a way, I think obviously that there will have been some soldiers who went off with, like you say, a very cavalier attitude about the war. But I would imagine that most of the soldiers who reached the end of the war or died in the war, if they could see today, they would think, I would like to think they would endorse what we're saying, which is that it was a tragedy, which is that it was something that should never have happened, rather than what a lot of other people seem to be implicitly saying, which is that it is something that should be celebrated.
Yeah. Thank God for us, eh?
Yeah. We're the real heroes. Celebrate us.
Do it! Just do it! Yes, you can!